Hey, this is Yael T.W, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Welcome to the Inner Light Project. My name is Yael T.W, and today I am super excited to share this amazing topic with you. Now, I have loved astrology from a young age. I didn't really understand it growing up, but as I've got older and older, I've kind of just delved in deep into it to understand what my moon sign is, what my sun sign is, what my rising sign is. But still, I don't really fully understand my chart. And so this week we have, oh my God, an amazing astrologer. Her name is Yael, and she is an astrologer, writer, and teacher. After having a 12-year successful career in finance, she realized it no longer fueled her and decided to study yoga, Buddhism, and became a yoga teacher and traveled the world until she met her teacher, Deborah Silverman, who changed her life around. Yeah, I'm so grateful to have you on the show, and thank you for being part of this journey today with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for hosting me.
Oh, bless you. I'm so excited to learn about you and my chart and just the power of astrology.
Yes, it is very powerful. And I have an amazing teacher. I don't know. Do you know Deborah Silverman?
I've heard the name, but I'm not too much. I know of the name, but I don't know too much about it, but I'm excited to know more.
Yeah. So Deborah is one of the biggest astrologers today. She's Sting's personal astrologer, and she has like one of the biggest astrology schools in the world. She teaches thousands of people every year, and I'm honored to be one of 20 certified astrologers all around the world. There are only 20 certified astrologers, and I'm one of them. And I'm also a teacher at her school. So that's like a big deal.
Wow, that's powerful. I knew this was meant to happen. Like when I got a message from you guys and it was sent over to me, I was like, yes, we have to do this. There's something about astrology, and we've not actually had anyone on the show about astrology, so this will be quite fascinating.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm the first astrologer on your show. Yay!
Yes.
Okay, great.
It's going to be fun. But I would love for the listeners to know what your life was like before Deborah Silverman came into your life.
Yeah, so I know you talk about trauma, so I will start with the trauma, right? Because this is the interesting part. So my biggest trauma, like we all have various traumas in our life, right? But I was 15 years old when my brother, I had two brothers. So my middle brother, he had leukemia. So my parents went to the hospital to be with him. And it was like 2-3 years. I was 15. So I was left alone in the house with my younger brother. And then when my parents came back and my brother healed, he's healthy, he's well, he has kids, he's like amazing.
Thank God.
And yeah, but as soon as they came back, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and she died within 3 months. So it was like not having my parents, then losing my mom, then my father, who was never really present in my life, he took me to a talk and he was like, I love my father. I really love him. Like we went through a lot, but then it was really challenging because he took me and he was like, I don't know you very well. I want to tell you, I have another wife and she's pregnant.
What?
Yes. So that's how I was brought. This is how my life started. Okay.
God.
Yeah, this is like an insane story. And it took me years to understand, the magnitude of the trauma that I was experiencing because in a minute I became an orphan and I became like your podcast is called Infinite Trust. This is the moment where you learned, okay, I cannot trust anybody in this world, right? Because, like they can just go in 1 second and disappear from my life. And I lived my life throughout like so many years mistrusting everyone. Yeah, so I'll take you a little forward. Okay, living like that. I think like I did what you, according to what you wrote in your website, you tend to numb yourself, to numb your pain, right? And so this is what I did. I numbed my pain. I used a lot of like, drinking and drugs and sex and like parties and like, but then there was even a point where I started reading Buddhism and I started getting like, finding answers and stuff. So it was 2005. I'm 32 years old. I live in Manhattan in a beautiful apartment. I'm married to a man I'm totally in love with. We have like great, like we vacation in like exotic, luxurious places. We travel, we have parties, we have friends coming over. I have a good job. I work in information system. I studied accounting. I was an accountant. I had a career in 12 years, very successful tech career.
Wow.
And so I made a lot of money. I was very like people really appreciated me in my job. Like everything seemed like perfect. And it was like in the background, the death of my mom was like, I saw how short life could be. And I was like, I'm going to make the best out of every moment. I'm going to be happy. I don't have time for sadness or, like grumpiness, or I'm just going to like, ignore all these feelings, and I'm just going to be happy. And it's my choice. And whenever like, and I read Buddhism, and Buddhism really helped me like be in peace with my mom's death, like not be upset so much about life, and really like understand that her soul chose that. She had a really like tough life, and that she, maybe she was reincarnated. And so I was like, I'm done with it. I dealt with my trauma. I'm fine. I figured it all out. I told people how, like whenever people were not happy, I was like, this is your problem, just be happy. I was like, life is a playground. You need to choose, climb the, like play. And then January 1st, 2005, I wake up in the morning and I can't get out of bed. And I cry. And I cry and I cry and I cry. And at first it was just when the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami happened.
Wow.
So, and I was always very influenced when like huge global crisis like that happened. So I thought, okay, that was it. And I also, it was just after the like New Year's celebrations, and obviously I took some drugs, and it was very common that after I took drugs, I would be like, crashing in bed for a few days. So I was like, okay. But then it continued for a week, and I was like, okay, something's weird here. And after 2 weeks, I quit my job. I understood like I can't, okay, something is serious. I can't get back to my work. I need some time. I can't get out of bed. My partner was a complete asshole. He was like, he was, okay. I was always like, the party girl and always happy and jolly. And suddenly I'm like staying in bed and crying. So who are you? I don't know you. That's not what I signed for. I signed for the happy, jolly girl. Okay. And I was like, I was in distress. I didn't know what I was doing. So like for a month, I stayed in bed and I read books and stuff. But then I was like, okay, I need to do something about it. So I started Googling, and I found acupuncture was a good remedy. So there was this Dr. Wang. He still is. I checked him out. He's still in Manhattan. I went to see him, like the real deal. And he was like, started asking me questions about my life. And I'm like, my life is perfect. I don't understand, like I really felt that this depression was just another way of the world to come and take my happiness away from me. So I remember like the first time I went to him, and he was like, okay. He left me in the room with like needles stuck in my body. And I'm lying there, and I'm like, I start feeling like a lump in my throat. and I start crying, but not like I cried in my home, because when I cried in my home, I didn't want, to be too much, because I saw my partner was already thinking I'm crazy. So I was very quiet and trying. I cried like an injured animal. It was so strong. Like, for the first time, when my mom died, I didn't shed a tear.
Wow. Oh my
I
God. So it's stored in the body.
Yeah, I was just like, I have to be strong. I was like, I had my brothers. I needed to take care of them. There was no room for emotions. So, I started crying. So basically, it took me a long time to work and do the healing process. It was not like a moment of like, oh, an immense transformation. No, not for me. It was a gradual work. But eventually I realized that I just completely ignored my emotional world. I just swept all my emotions under the carpet, ignored all my intuition, all my senses. And I was just like, okay, in the sake of being happy. And unfortunately, I see many people do this today. And to some extent, mine was like super extreme. It was very extreme because trauma was also extreme. But, we all have these tendencies to ignore some of our emotions, right?
I'm just grateful that you found your journey and you went from within. Like, I feel when I look back at time, like, so I'm in my mid-30s now, and I look back at, I know that there's like an age gap between us, but like the way women were taught to be women, it's so toxic. Be a man, it's a male's world, and you've got to toughen up and don't show your emotions, and being sensitive is weak. Oh my God. Like, I actually love the younger generation now, because they just like, if they're upset, they just cry out. Whereas when we were growing up, we just was like, we'd hide it in our bedroom, wouldn't we? We wouldn't show it to the world, but in front of everybody else, yeah, we're fine. There's nothing wrong with me. But inside, your body is like aching or something's not right. But you don't listen until something dramatic happens. Like, I don't know, you collapse on the floor, or like you said, like alcohol, drugs, or something that makes you realize actually something's not right here. We need to shift. And I see a lot of like my generation and your generation, even older women, who are still living in that shoulder pads era. Like, they need to be alphas, and I'm like, no, you just need to be in your feminine flow and let your emotions come out. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to feel your emotions.
It's not even just okay. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary. Crying is healthy. There are researchers that show, and this is what it's part of what I talk about in my book, The Planetary Balance. So everything we talked about right now is in the moon chapter. Okay. So there are 10 planets. Okay. And we're now, it's interesting because we are in Cancer season, right?
Yeah.
And you know that you have a strong Cancer. Your midheaven, your career purpose is in Cancer. We'll talk about that.
What?
Okay? Yes.
That's so interesting.
Is in Cancer, and this is why, and your rising is in Libra. So it's interesting because it's all about the femininity. Libra ruled by Venus, the feminine, and Cancer, the emotional world, and you bring them together. This is so powerful. But so every planet, and the moon and the sun for astrology, they're considered as planets. Okay, they're not really planets, but for astrology, we call them planets, just to make it simple. And then each one of these 10 planets have a lesson for us. And each of them has a certain energy and a certain component in our body that it relates to. Okay. So what I've noticed that, like, regardless of where our moon is in our chart, or regardless where our Venus is in our chart, we all have common themes. Okay. In the book, I talk about the energy, the component, and the common themes that we all share, and how to bring the energy to a healthy balance. Okay. So for example, if we talked about the emotional world and the moon, and it's interesting because your show is called Infinite Trust. Okay. And I just wrote in my recent blog, I wrote Cancer season, how to renew our trust in self and others. And this would be very interesting for you. So the human, what is the human component that relates to the moon, that relates to the emotional world? It's the gut.
Oh, okay.
Like the brain, our brain is the part that processes thoughts, right? This is the thought generator, okay? The sun is our ego, okay? The moon is the gut, okay? We process our emotions in our gut, in our belly. There are researchers, like medical researchers, that show that almost all the gut problems relate to emotional issues.
Oh, 100%. Like I know people that if they're worried about something, they need to, for example, they need to go to the toilet before they go out of the house. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's, or like there's tension. And I've had it before where I used to have really like tensed, like almost hard, like gut issues when I was growing up because I was overachieving and pushing. And I used to always have stabbing pains in my stomach. So I definitely know what you're talking about, the gut, how powerful it is.
Butterflies in our stomach, when you're in love, so we don't feel all of our emotions in our gut. Some feelings we feel in our heart, some feelings we feel in our throats. It's not that we feel everything physically in our butt, in our gut, not in our butt, but
I love it. Butt gut.
I have a 6-year-old boy. I hear the word butt every day for many times. So thank you for telling me that I can swear in your show. And we don't process our emotions in our butt, in our gut. Oh, that's funny. I'll tell him, it will crack. So in our gut. And where do we have our intuition? What is intuition? It's gut feelings, right?
Yeah,
we talk about gut feelings.
True. Yeah.
So first of all, I understood that, most of us had trust issues, right? Like I talked about my trauma and my trust issues. We all had bad relationships that caused us, to not to trust people or trust the world. But when we lose our trust, we basically lose our trust in ourselves. Right? It's not the other people that we don't trust. We don't trust our judgment, our intuition. Like, how did I marry this guy? How did I become even his girlfriend? How did I not notice? How can I trust myself again? And when I married my husband today, he's such a loyal, loving partner. I'm so grateful for him. And it took me years of dreaming that he was cheating on me. I was traumatized. I was sure, it was hard. So why is it? And so I told you already that I used to suppress my emotions. And I was born with such a strong gut feeling and intuition. I dreamt of my mom's death when I was 12.
Yeah.
I had a repeating dream and I saw her lying in bed, dying.
Oh my God.
Circling her. And I dreamt about it over and over again. And I foresaw many things in my dreams. But then I didn't want that. So I shut down. So I disconnected. But what happens when we ignore our emotions, when we repress them, when we suppress them, they create clutter in our gut. They create a mess. And then how can we listen to our gut feelings?
Yeah. We can't, because it's all stored with like repressed emotion. And until we clear that out, it's very hard to listen to trust from within. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you trust, and it's funny because you're a double Libra, right? Both sun and your rising are in Libra. And one of the, and you also have Mars and Venus in Libra. So you have,
oh my God,
in Libra. You're such a strong Libra. And one of the characteristics of Libra is that it's hard for you to make decisions, right?
Yeah, growing up, that was me. Yeah.
But then you developed your intuition. When there is intuition, you had to develop your intuition because otherwise, how would you make a decision with three planets, like three personal planets, Mars, Venus, Sun in Libra, rising in Libra, you would be like, a complete indecisive person. Because when you try to make decisions with your mind, it's just impossible. The mind will give you like, pros and cons to every situation, right?
Yeah.
But when you are connected with your gut,
Oof.
you know.
It's like, let's go. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
There is an immediate no, I know this is what I need to do. Yeah.
That's so true.
So this is the connection. So this is, for example, one of the lessons that I talk about in my book, in the moon chapter. And I tell the story, so this is like how we can connect, understanding that moon is related to our gut. How do we work with our gut? What is the importance of being connected to our gut? And then how do we process emotions? What is processing emotions really? Emotions are here to be felt. So many of us, especially air people like you and me, okay, we tend to like analyze our emotions. We think about our emotions. We tell ourselves the stories. We can go through therapy. We can do all these things. But then do we really feel? What does it mean to feel our emotions? Emotions are meant to be felt in the body. Yeah. So what I tell people is just like, and this solves, like, it can solve sleep problems, it can solve anxiety, it can solve almost everything that we experience is our unwillingness to experience what is currently happening to us. We push away the fear. We push away, like we worry because we're not willing to acknowledge our fear. So instead we get into our head and we start worrying. Okay. So when we close our eyes and we put our hands on our hearts and how does it manifest in my body? Where is this? Where do I feel? I feel something. I feel anxiety. I feel pain. How does it feel? Where do I feel it? Do I feel it in my heart? Do I feel it in my throat, in my belly, in my shoulders, in my jaws? People feel different feelings in various places in the body. Yeah. Is it tightening? Is it expanding? What is happening there? Okay. So really like how is my breath? Do I breathe quickly? Do I breathe fast? Is it shallow? Is it deep? What is going on? So when we come to the physical, instead of we're so used, and it's not just air people, it's like humanity now. We're in social media. We're, like technology. It's like air. So we are so much in our mind.
That's so true.
Right? Yeah. Coming back into our body is the solution for lots of problems that we have, and really allowing the feeling to manifest.
Yeah. And that's the feminine energy. So we've been running on masculine energy for generations now as women. And so we find it very difficult sometimes to listen from within because, again, we've been told who we need to be, how we need to act, all these things about how we need to live our lives. And that's why sometimes we find it hard, or we get overwhelmed and then the emotions come out and then we feel guilty about that. But actually, like you said, and like I've always believed this, it's so normal. Crying is part of your body saying, you know what, it's time to release unstuck energy that's in your body. Let it out. It's okay to feel it and heal it. Like, it's fine. Like, I just think a lot of people don't realize that there's no shame in showing your emotions at all. And I love what you're doing because actually it makes so much sense now that you're saying about like the moon energy and how it's linked to our gut. And I'm like, that makes sense. Where it's interesting, whenever there's a full moon, people tend to can't either sleep properly or they have like gut issues. So that kind of makes sense now to me.
Yeah. And when you talk about the feminine energy, so Venus, okay, so the moon and the Venus are both feminine, okay, but the moon is more the mother. The Venus is more the empress.
Interesting.
Okay. Venus is the type of femininity that it embodies beauty, aesthetic, royalty, kind of like, like abundance. It is the energy of attraction. And it's artistic, and it's about self-expression. So the Venus relates to the feminine side. Okay, this is the human component in my book, in the model. Okay, and it connects to the energy is the harmony. Okay, harmonious energy. How do I, and this is for you, 3 planets in Libra, Libra rising, Libra ruled by Venus, and your moon is in Taurus, also ruled by Venus.
Oh my
Venus
God.
is the queen of your chart. Okay. You are a Venus queen. You're the empress. Okay. So Venus is about self-expression and authentic self-expression, especially in romantic relationships, but not only. Artistic expression. And how many of us have challenges authentically express ourselves? Raise your hand. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's so hard sometimes to say the people we love that are close to us, to tell them what we really feel.
Yeah.
What we think. We try to pretend, you know. I met a friend yesterday, and she was like, you know, expressing her annoyance about she's dating, and she was like, I can't believe that I was so inauthentic with this guy that I was dating, and I was just pretending to be someone else. And I'm like, don't beat yourself up. This is so natural. It's human. It's so hard, especially if you find someone attractive and you really want them to love you. And this is Venus. She wants to be popular. She wants to be loved. So she tends to be a pleaser.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's like the lesson is what you learned. Yeah. I'm not here to please anyone, guys. No, I'm here to be myself. You like me? Good. You don't like me? Bye.
Later. Yeah, I love that. That's this makes so much sense now. Like, you're clarifying everything that I kind of already knew. So it's kind of fascinating. Like, I've always, it just explains a lot. Thank you so much. And I would love to go into the chart, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So excited.
Ready?
So guys, we're going to share what my chart is. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, so let's see your chart. So what I talked about so far, so you see this is your rising sign. Okay, do you see where I point?
Yes.
Okay, so this is your ascendant. It's in Libra. Your Mars is 0 degrees in Libra. It's just the beginning of Libra, but it's in Libra. Your Sun is in Libra, and your Venus is in Libra. Okay, all these 3 in Libra. And your Sun is in this piece of cake that is the first house. So we talked a little bit about the Libra, being the artist. I see, like, in all your pictures, how, like, you have your style, right? You have the way you dress up. You're beautiful. You love, like, it's your appearance is part of who you are, right? It's like, you see, I saw you and I'm like, she's cool. Okay. It has a style, very stylish. And then, like, talking about the feminine, this is all feminine energy. Venus is about the feminine. It's Venus, right? Venus was the goddess of love, goddess of beauty. Okay. And then the first house is the house that is ruled by Mars. It's the Aries. It's ruled by Aries, which is just opposite here. So you have the feminine, but you also have the masculine. So this is why you were able to balance. This is why you had the assertiveness, okay? Because sometimes people with such a strong Libra, like, I want to please, I want to be nice, I want to be kind, but you're like, no, I want to be nice, I want to be kind, I want to bring harmony. You do.
Yeah.
You want to bring peace, you want to bring harmony to the world. This is why you heal people, okay? Because traumatic people who are managed by their trauma, they don't bring peace and harmony, right? Not to themselves and not to their environment. So by healing them, by working with their trauma, you help the world become a better place, a more harmonious, peaceful place. This is what Libra is all about. It's about, right?
Yeah.
And then Your first house helps you, give you the fire, okay, the energy, the assertiveness. First, people with sun in first house are people who are here to leave their mark.
Ooh.
Right? You're here, you come to a place, you make first impression. People can't ignore you. You have this presence. You own it. Isn't that true? Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, and it's very confusing sometimes because I'm not doing anything, and suddenly I will know someone's life story within a second. I'm like, I don't, I'm not doing anything. I'm just stood here. And it's fascinating. And also wherever I go, people just stare and I'm like, I don't understand. What is this? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, there's no makeup on, there's nothing. I'm just like me. What is this? But you've confirmed it. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. So this is like, you have this strong femininity embodied with, this strong presence of like the masculine. And you were able to merge them because you came here. The reason why you came here, you talked about like revealing your femininity and working with, it wasn't natural for you. Why? Because your childhood is in Capricorn.
No.
And when your childhood is in Capricorn, it means that you came to this world a serious little thing. You're serious right from the start.
Yep.
You had to be super responsible. I don't know what your life circumstances were, or if you share them in other programs. I heard only few. I didn't hear all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up with a lot of trauma from a young age and had to grow up and kind of like learn how to self-soothe myself, like learn to like get on with stuff, had a lot of pressure to succeed. There was a lot going on, even as a young little 6-year-old. That is ridiculous when I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a kid with a person with a Capricorn childhood usually had life circumstances that made them be super responsible right from the start. Like there was no, you had to be an adult the moment you were born. and your childhood environment, your family, your home life, it wasn't like a safe place. It wasn't a fortress. It felt like the world outside and the home inside were the same. There was no safe feeling at home.
Yeah.
And then from this point, you grow into Cancer. Okay, so this is where your career is.
Can I just share something with you? This is really insane. So my dad is a Capricorn, my mum's a Cancer.
That's very interesting. Yeah. And how are your relationship with them?
Not bad. We're better now than what we were. And I used to date a lot of Capricorns as well. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. So you are, it was comfortable for you. You felt comfortable there in the Capricorn. And then when you grow to Cancer, and by the way, Deborah Silverman has the same combination. She has Libra rising and midheaven in Cancer.
Wow.
So there is this wanting. I did not get nourishment as a child in Capricorn. I had to be very serious, very like, to be an adult. I didn't get to be like, nourished. And now I want to nourish back. I want to give nourishment to all the kids that didn't, like all the human beings who grew up without nourishment. And I want to nourish them.
That is literally my work. I want everyone to heal their inner child so they can be free.
Exactly.
Magic.
Isn't it magic? It's like,
wow.
Yeah. And then you do it. How do you do it? Okay. So this is like, you want to nourish through your rising in Libra, through work, like, work related to Libra, which is, and you also have these 3 planets in the 3rd house, through writing, through hosting a podcast, through doing everything related, journaling. Okay. Like you were a journalist, right? So everything airy. Okay. Communication, artistic. I do it through art. I do it through therapy. Libra is a great therapist because Libra is not judgmental. Okay. This is the quality. She can see all the options all the paths and everything is legitimate. There is nothing wrong. This is why they're indecisive if they don't have the strong intuition like you do. Okay. But it's indecisiveness because like this is right and this is right and this is right and this is right. So how can I make a decision? Okay. But when people come to you, you can get into their shoes very easily. You can be in their place. You can identify them with them and empathize with them because you get them. You don't judge them. Yeah. That's the beauty.
Wow.
Right. And then your moon. So your moon is in Taurus in the 8th house. This is the house of trauma.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay. The emotional world had to go deep. So on one hand, Taurus and the 8th house they're opposites. Again, you have this is a play of balance. Okay. So Taurus wants familiarity. It needs a familiar environment. It needs steadiness. It doesn't want to transform so much. It wants to stay like, I just want to enjoy the sunset and the sunrise and the little things in life and the beauty of the flowers, right? It's just like, that's what makes me happy. But then there is another side to it. It's like, I need to go deep. I need to live intensely. I want to dig into the trauma and understand everything and heal everything. And this is a transformation.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is crazy.
Do you relate? Who wins? Do they battle or do they live in harmony?
Battle a little bit, then they come in harmony. But now it's more harmony than it used. Like before it was like a battle all the time. Now it's like, no, listen to my soul. Bye-bye. And just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Alice Bailey, who initiated esoteric astrology. She initiated New Age. Okay. Everything, a lot of the spiritual concepts that we practice with today came from Alice Bailey.
Wow.
And she said that once we connect with our soul, our chart does not represent us anymore. The planets do not challenge us anymore. We can take the high road. Okay, so it's like your Libra could have been indecisive. This is the low road. The high road is, I found inner harmony within ourselves. There is also like in Libra, there is the desire and the need to be reunited with someone. There is a strong need for partnership. Okay. But then the high road, I found harmony within myself. I balanced the masculine and the feminine within myself. And I can be self-expressive. It's a very futuristic sign. It's a very advanced sign. It is the sign that came to bring us new concepts, new ideas. Okay. When you are in this high road, high place of your rising sign, of your soul, the rising represent what your soul needs to rise to.
Wow. Okay.
So your soul wanted to rise to Libra, and it made it easy for you because you already got 3 planets there. So it's clear. For some people, the rising sign is like completely disconnected from the whole chart. And then it's like they don't have easy access to rise to their soul. But for you, it was very easy, relatively. Okay, not easy because we still have the trauma here. We still have the like life is not easy for no one, right?
Yeah.
But you could access your soul, your high road, and make this peace and harmony within you. And now, are you in a relationship?
No.
Do you want a relationship?
Not right now.
Not right now. Yeah. But when you would want a relationship, it would come out of want and not out of need.
Oh, that feels good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you would want a relationship. You wouldn't need a relationship because your life is so amazing as it is. You're fulfilling your purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is amazing. I'm blown away by this chart. Because I've seen things before, but I've kind of just been like, oh, what is this? But, you know, you've explained it in depth and it makes so much sense about my life and how I grew up. And, you know, I grew up really serious. And, you know, even as studying to be a journalist and in the industry, oh my God, I was so hard on myself. And then as of the more work I did and I let go of like past traumas, the more I kind of went in now, I see into the Cancer sign, just feeling it and healing it and letting it go. It makes so much sense. And I have that drive, but the drive is so different now. I don't recognize who I was before.
Yeah. And you had like water are not a strong sign for, are not a strong element for you. You have Mercury and Pluto in Scorpio. Your moon is in the 8th house. So it was accessible, but you had to work on that because you're tough. Capricorns can be tough, you know, like I'm serious, I'm tough, I don't have time for emotions.
Yeah.
So I manage them. And the more you allow yourself to soften and the more you allow yourself to connect with your emotions, you were able to connect to your midheaven, which is your career purpose, what you came here to do. When you were denying your emotional world, Cancer is all about the moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon. It is the emotional world. It's the gut feeling, everything that we talked about. So the more you connected to them, the more easy it became for you to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for this. I have no words literally right now. I'm just blown away. I'll have to like listen to this again. It's such a blessing what you do. Thank you. Honestly, that it's amazing. And so thank you for that confirmation about everything. And I'd love to know more about your book, please.
Yeah. So as I said, the book is called Planetary Balance. And it talks about, first of all, like I talk about what is the purpose? Okay. Why are we even learning about ourselves? Why? And I talk about the big misconception that we have around happiness. Okay, because what happened to me, what I told you in the beginning, when I was like clinging to happiness.
Yeah.
So many of us, you know, there are the 4 noble truths in Buddhism, and they talk about, you know, like life is suffering. Okay, we got that. Then there is, you know, like there the path, and eventually we talk about like we can release from suffering. Okay, we can be happy. And then many spiritual aspirants, you know, they were like, okay, I'm there, I'm happy, and we start pretending. Okay, and then we don't allow. And when we feel a little bit dissatisfied or when we feel frustrated, it's like no, because then it makes me ungrateful for what I have. Or when, but then it's exactly against what Buddhism wanted us to do. Buddhism told us life is suffering, so that we will say, okay, I get it. You know, I can, you know, it's part of life. You know, why do we expect to always be jolly and happy? This is not a realistic expectation. Even now, I am married to an amazing man, really loving man. We are 9 years married. We have an amazing, beautiful child. I have like super strong connection with him, and I love him more than anything in the world. And I love being his mother. I'm a successful astrologer. I am writing a book. I'm hosted in your podcast, beautiful podcast. I do everything that I love to do. Am I happy all the time? No. You know, like there are times when I am sad, when I feel pain, when I feel, you know, frustrated. It's not like even when you get everything you want in life, okay? It's like there is no point where suffering ceases. Okay, suffering is always part of life. So why? So what's the purpose? What's the motivation? The motivation is that we understand who we are, what are our gifts, what are our challenges, so that we live life in such a deep and meaningful way that we get up in the morning and we're excited.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I have pain or if I have suffering, it's worth it. Worth it. And that's the purpose. Okay. And then I talk about the planets. Okay. So the planets, as I said, each planet has a lesson for us. So for example, the sun, we talked a lot about the moon chapter, but the sun chapter, which is the first one, the first planet, because it's the center of our solar system, right? And the sun relates to our ego. And the ego ego is what wants.
Mm.
Okay, ego is what desires. And there is another big spiritual misconception that the ego is bad, that we need to put the egos in the side. Okay, I want to be connected with my soul. I don't want my ego, but the ego is important.
Yeah, you need both.
We need the ego. We don't want the ego to manage us, but we want to have a strong sense of self. We want to put boundaries. We want to connect to what we want. Okay. So, oftentimes, like, for example, when I asked you about, like, do you want a relationship? And you said, not now. Oftentimes, I will challenge you and I will ask you, do you not want a relationship because, you got hurt, or you are frustrated because so many relationships didn't work out? And now you're like, you really want a relationship. Maybe it's not your case, right?
Yeah.
But many times, many people, like, and I know it happened to me, I said, I don't want kids because I was so afraid I would not have kids. Sometimes we say, like, I don't want something, but we really do want. So, the sun teaches us how we truly connect. People who want to be successful, who want to be famous, but it's not spiritual. Okay, it's not spiritual. You can't say it out loud, right? It's like, if you say, I want to be successful, you're like, this is
who
not
are you?
well, you're egoistic. You just want things for your ego. Well, but that's what I want. Like, I want my book to be successful. I want my book, like, I want it to be a bestseller. I won't lie to you, like, you want your book to be a best. You're writing another book, right?
Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
working on a proposal. Are you doing it just because you don't want it to be successful? You want the book to be successful, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, there is so much confusion. So this is the lesson of sun, and then, like, we go, like, planet after planet, and we talk about, like, each planet talks about 5 themes. Okay, so for example, with the sun, we talk about desires, we talk about willpower, we talk about confidence. How do we build self-confidence? Okay, and about vitality.
Yeah.
Okay, so we dig in, and I teach you how to balance this energy. Okay, and it's very practical. Okay, I will give you very practical. Sometimes it would be a chant, a mudra, a journaling exercise, or just, like, like, go, like, integrate things that you love in your calendar. What do you love to do? Do more of it. Like, it would be very the summary of everything. Like, how do you balance? It's not just rule. I am an accountant, after all. I had 12 years career in tech. I'm a very practical person. So I take you down to earth. Okay, I tell you exactly, like, okay, these are the things you can do to really balance. And I see this work with my clients, and it works like magic. There are, like, so many clients like you, and so it's like, wow, this is so powerful.
Yeah, it's medicine. Thank you for sharing that. And I just know it's going to be a powerful book when it comes out. I'll be sharing it out, so please do send us a copy. And also, just it's going to come. I know, I feel it. It's all going to come together, and it's going to change so many lives, because I feel like I've read, like, quite a few astrology books, and none of them have explained it how you've explained it to me today. And I think, wow, had I known this a lot earlier, my chart would have made a lot more sense. So thank you. And keep doing what you're doing, because it's definitely going to change a lot of people's lives to help them to understand themselves and come back home to themselves.
Same here. Keep doing what you're doing. You're just amazing. And I listened to some of your shows, and it's so inspiring to hear these voices, and to your questions, and how you really get deep. Your eighth house moon, right? You get deep. You want to really know, you want to really understand, and it's not, I don't take it for granted. It's a beautiful quality.
Well, it's actually so Gerds is my nickname, so my actual first name is Gurdeep, and so deep.
Wow.
Actually, at the end, it's like light. So it's all, my name actually means darkness into light. So there's no surprise. It's my full chart, my name, everything is linked. So
This is your name from birth, or this is a name
Yeah.
that was given to you?
Name for birth. Gurdeep is my first name. So it's God's light. It's helping people out the darkness into the light, the lamp of the teacher, lamp of the guru. Kaur means princess, and then Hansel means warrior. So I help women to be warriors, to come out of the darkness and to come into the light as warriors. So it's within my soul. And it's, you know, even your name, please Google it and know and find out information. I'm sure you know about it, but your name already gives us the answers to our purpose, which is so fascinating to me.
My name, I have a biblical name.
Ooh.
Yael was a warrior. She won the war for the Israelites. They were fighting this, like they had this like big enemy who was like constantly like attacking them and fighting them. And he was walking by her tent. She invited him over.
Ooh.
She probably had sex with him. No one says that, but we, like she gave him milk.
Queen, she's a queen.
And butter. Yeah, she was not a queen. She was just a woman in her tent. She had a tent. She invited him over. She had sex with him, and she killed him.
Oh shit! That's not what I thought it was going to be.
She killed him, and she won the war. And like this is why, like, it's so funny because they say, like she's a hero.
Yeah.
For the Jewish people, she's a hero. But they said like what she did was horrible. Like, like if it was, to other, but it was like, yeah. So I'm a warrior. That's my name. I'm the warrior.
Just with what you're saying, I reckon it, for me, what my gut's saying is that maybe you're here to shake up the system about astrology. Yeah. So what everyone talks about, you're going to now shift it and explain it in such a way that nobody knows. So it's kind of like that butter, but in a different way, which might rub people up the wrong way in the astrology world, but it's what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I see that. I've got a few more questions. And my first question is, what's your 5 top tips for somebody who wants to trust from within, but they don't know where to start?
So process your emotions. I would give them the work of like getting into the body, starting connecting with, because when you connect with your emotions, it takes you down to your gut feelings. And then you start trusting. That's it. You clean the clutter. Because if we don't, most of us are somewhat disconnected. Even me, even I, my moon is in Capricorn, and I still like, even though I've been doing this emotional work for a long time, I still feel there is still more to go. There is still some that I don't feel, that I don't allow myself. Every time it takes another step. Feeling a little bit more, allowing myself to be with the feeling a little longer, going with it a little deeper. So it's an ongoing process. It's a lifelong process. There is no moment when you say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
I figured it. I'm like, my emotional capacity is 100%, and it's never, I don't think, maybe when I'm 60 I'll tell you different, but like right now I feel it will be a lifelong process. So it's just like, how can I go deeper? How can I connect with what I truly feel, even if it's like and I want to vomit, like it's so disgusting sometimes what we feel. It's like such like icky and discomfort, like anxiety is like, I don't want to feel anxious right now, it's like I want to feel. I woke up on my birthday and we were in Hawaii, this beautiful place, and I felt weak. I felt weak, and I was like, I don't want to feel that. I want to feel happy and jolly, and like, it's my birthday. But I allowed okay, that's what you feel right now. And you know what? The moment I allowed it to be, it went away. And after like 20 minutes, I completely forgot that I felt that, and I was completely energized. So it just sometimes, like, there is a feeling and we want to push it, but like, this is what's asking me to be felt right now. Can I respect that?
Beautiful. And what are you most grateful for?
Everything. Like, seriously, meeting Deborah was one of the most incredible events, like synchronicity. It was just like a friend introduced me to her. I got to have an in-person reading with her 2013. It was like, I didn't even understand who I was going to see. It was like, she changed my life completely. I'm so grateful for her, so grateful for my husband, who is being so supportive and loving. and showed me what it means to be loved. I was not loved as a child, and really like teaching me what it means to be loved and how it feels to be loved. And my son, I'm so grateful for him. And for my friends, I have my tribe, air people. I'm a Gemini. I have my tribe. I have people who are like supporting me and loving me, and I'm so grateful for them. I'm grateful to live in Asheville. Asheville is such a beautiful place. We have the Appalachian Mountains here. I love hiking nature, the mountains, the lakes, the waterfalls. Like, it's so powerful. Every weekend I go out, unless it's like pouring, but we go out and I unite with nature, and I feel like the healing. It just like it's just nature healing me. And like everything, it just so much to be grateful for, really.
And what shines your inner light?
What shines my inner light?
Yeah.
My writing.
Oof.
My writing. I love writing. I love, when I write, it's my expression. When I do readings, like when I do readings, like, it's so powerful to see someone from this place and really like have this connection. It's very intimate, right? I love this intimacy.
Well, thank you, Yael, for just being on the show and just following your journey and listening from within and saying, you know what, it's time to do what I love and it's time to help others. Thank you for listening to your inner child who wanted to be free, wanted to be happy, and just was like, let's see where the magic lies.
Yeah, and keep on, like, every day, right? Yeah. Live with this awe and curiosity and like, okay, what is this day asking me for? And keep on listening. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy and honored to be in your show. Thank you. Keep on doing your amazing work.
Wow, what an amazing episode. I am totally blown away. Do check out Yael's work and definitely book in a session with her, because as you can hear today, there were some things that I didn't know about myself and some things that I did, and it just kind of reconfirmed those things and why I was here and what I'm here to do in this world. I do feel that it's so interesting learning about what your astrology is, so it can help you to take your power back more. Unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. The magical thing about astrology is you are completely unique. No chart will be ever replicated ever again. That's a quote by Susan Miller. Take care, my sisters. For more information about the show or how to trust your inner light, visit my website at gerdshundel.com. And also check out my Infinite Trust program if you're ready to transform trauma and learn to trust yourself so you can powerfully move forward in your life. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay lit.